So the first idea I had was that if you draw the city of Colombo, it's like this, and then we have the Gulf face, and then we have the sea. So in this, what I've sketched is how it began 12 years ago. Now, here, my dream has come true. I'm very happy, Sri Lankan.
Hello from one of the beautiful lobbies of Cinnamon Life. I'm Nicole from Balmond Studio. Find out about how the architecture and interior designs were conceived and made.
I'm James Balmond, Creative Director of Balmond Studio. We're here today in Cinnamon Life talking with Cecil Balmond, the architect behind this iconic development. So hi Cecil, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Good to be here, for sure.
And congratulations on such an iconic project. How does it feel, 13 years in the making, to be here now, sitting here talking?
Well, after a decade of working on the project, it's hard to believe it's real, it's here. But I've been walking the building now for about 3-4 days, most of the day. And the reality has dawned on me now. It's from the moment I walked in, though, without the scaffolding and things, I hadn't seen it before with nothing in it. It's been exciting. I'm happy with it, and I'm hoping that people who come will enjoy this project for sure. It's a special one.
Yes, definitely. I think from our side as well, it's been incredible seeing the public using the spaces for the first time. Makes it real.
That's for sure. I wanted the people who come and visit the building to first have a excitement. You know, it's like I want them to feel it's like nothing they have been part of before. Not just Sri Lankans, anybody from the world coming. It's a building that is changing its shape every level. It has particular architectural features that are not normal in buildings, that normally a hotel would be a block. This is moving around the horizon, horizontal, and also the interior is a moving feast of color and pattern to keep your eye moving. It's a big space, but it's broken down into small areas. And I'm hoping people find it enjoyable. They've not seen anything like it in Colombo for sure. But also the quality of the building work has been, in my opinion, better than anything in the region. It's a high quality finish on floors, walls, ceilings, everything.
So, you know, it's a huge project. You know, we're talking over $1 billion US. And the design is very interesting, but I think it's worth going back to the very beginning in terms of, you know, the starting point for how we ended up here. So obviously John Keel's group approached you with a brief. So yeah, maybe you could fill us in on that journey.
The start of the project was long ago when I gave the Bava Memorial lecture in Colombo. I was invited to come and give that lecture, and that had a good reception. And then a year later or something, I had a call from John Keel's chairman, deputy chairman, Ajit Gunawardena. And he said, we're thinking of a project in Sri Lanka, come and talk to us. So that began the discussion with John Keel's to build a project that would be multi-development, not just a hotel. And that interested me. And that's where it began then. And to my surprise and joy in a way, John Keel said, we want an icon. It's very rare for a client to ask for an icon. They expect to get one, but to ask. And in my contract it said Balmond Studio appointed to design an icon and architecture and everything else. So that excited me. So that's how it first began. Then I came to Colombo and spent some time, and it's on the site of the old elephant house. From people from older generation would remember. And John Keel's owned those buildings, and they demolished that and offered the site, a very big site, 23 acres or more. And I looked at it, and at that time, of course, the site was facing the Galle face. There was nothing in front. The Beira Lake came by the site, round in a curve. And on the city side, there weren't that many big tower developments coming yet at that time, 10, 13 years ago. So I started sketching, like I do, small sketches, trying to think what I would do. The normal response on a site like this, if you took the architectural program, it was a hotel, retail, shopping, apartment buildings, office buildings, exhibition buildings, and a big car park. If you take that as an architectural brief, the simple way to solve the problem is to have towers. And I call that the Singapore solution. A lot of buildings are, you take the hotel, put up the towers, you put up the apartment blocks off a big podium. That's the normal architectural response. But I felt that was too conventional, and something else was needed. And I had the idea that all those tower programs should be in one building. So I wanted the idea of a city within a city. So like it has parts, but somehow they come together in one cohesive design, one architectural aspect. And that's when I realized I needed something to be vertical, but also project to the horizontal, project to the sea. The sea was open, it's a limitless horizon, and for the ambitions of the building as well, I felt it should move out towards the sea somehow, and also, of course, be vertical and be a backdrop to the city of the future.
Because that's what I was going to say. I think the location of the site being in between the sea to the west and the city to the east, that kind of played a role in terms of your thinking of the building as something different, taking both those energies.
Absolutely. There is a dichotomy between the city side and the sea. Sea is nature, natural, Arcadian, beautiful. The city is urban and dense, but I knew it would grow, and I knew this project would be the catalyst to raise the whole game in Sri Lanka, in Colombo. The level of invention and intervention would be special, and everyone, it raises the bar. So I wanted it to be a threshold to a new Colombo. And in my upbringing in Sri Lanka, I felt this would be some kind of a guard stone, a muragala, to the future city. It's not a guard stone now, it is the shape. So when you're going down the Galle Road, I wanted it to feel standing up there. And as you pass it, you'll recognize there are towers behind it as well. And it is like a guard stone for me, not literally, but as a metaphor, to be a blessing and an entry point to a future city. That was the key metaphor that I used as a design idea. Then, of course, I looked at the form, and the Beira Lake curves around the site, so I thought an arc form rather than some other form, and I then scalloped the edges to make energy. I'll come back to how I thought about it in the end. So I then thought it's about energy and movement.
Yeah.
So I took the pencil, and I'd done this before on another project in in Holland. With one line, I wanted to trace the whole building. So I went up and down in a line, branching horizontally out to the sea, coming back down and going over the retail, what I thought would be retail, and then going up and down, up across and back horizontally for the car park. So in one line, I traced the whole profile of the project. That was it for me. When I had that moment, I knew this was the project to make. However hard it would be, that's what it is. So it's one line in energy, it doesn't stop moving. And then thereafter, in implementing the design, I kept putting little things in that kept your eye moving slowly, steadily. And the whole project is not about a fixed idea. It's an open idea of movement and energy for a future city. It's not about now. That's also key in my thinking.
Yeah, I think the perception of the building is that it's very modern and contemporary, but as you explained, it actually has this Sri Lankan identity and heritage aspect to it, from the metaphorical sense as well.
It has roots. You know, a lot of people ask me in my other work as well, how did you get this idea, how did you do that? There's no science to the idea. It's an instinct. And of course, from your experience, a pragmatic ability to make a building. You know, after 50 years of practice, I can take ideas and make buildings from them. And also my Sri Lankan heritage, I was born and brought up here, and I didn't leave the country till I was 20. It comes through in ways that you don't know as a designer. Of course, I worked in the West a lot, but all of these things come together. And the sense of ornamentation as well, which is very Asian. The Hindu culture, the Buddhist culture has ornamentation as ideas, which the West doesn't have. The West strips out everything. And in fact, when this shape began that you see now, there were two shapes that developed in my studio in London. One was what I would call a European shape. It was very strong, very clean, with big slabs of backdrop, and then the cantilevers coming. And it looked very good. And I knew it would be excellent in America or somewhere like that, in a hot part of America maybe, like Arizona or something, where you had a lot of room, because it was a spread design. The alternative design was the one you see now. So I looked at both, and somehow, without any science to it, I knew one felt more correct and better to be on this side by the bearer, with its edge moving, rather than the other one, which was more straight and Western and tough. This has, for me, a romantic idea as well, a romantic notion of form. It's not clinical, which is a Western idea often on form. Very harsh, very critical, clinical. For me, this one is not. This one embraces the land, embraces the sea, and embraces light, because the cantilevers interrupt the facade, and the facade itself moves in and out.
Yeah, so I was just hoping we were going to move on to facades. It's obviously one of the very striking aesthetic qualities of the building, especially both sides, the city-facing and the sea-facing side. So I know there's a lot of thinking behind the sea-facing facade. So maybe we could just elaborate a little bit more on that in terms of the patterning and the configuration of the glass.
Well, on facades, it's one of the areas architects don't give a lot of attention to because of the curtain walling industry. So you put up a facade and you see it all over town here and anywhere. It's what's called cladding, and it has a uniform system of cladding. You put the runners up, the glass comes in between, or aluminium, and it's a uniform thing. With Cinnamon Life, because of the nature of the area for the program, and the site, this tall backdrop is quite spread. And if you had a facade that was uniform, it just wouldn't work, in my mind. So we had the cantilevers interrupting the facade, which is good. But then I wanted, because in the afternoon, the light in Sri Lanka in Colombo gets interesting after 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It gets warm and enjoyable. It's not a harsh sun. It starts to soften. And I wanted the facade to reflect light and bounce around with the light. As the sun was traveling, it would move its shadows and things. So I took a line where the facade would be, a normal flat line, like on plan, and I moved 30% of the facade out and 20% in. And so that gives an in and out facade when you're looking down on it. And when you look at it, those white lines you see are zigzags, which are the difference between the in and out. So that's how the facade's done. On the back side, big planes go in and out to create the in and out. But on the front side, on the west facade, it's slightly in and slightly out. So it steps in and out at the rhythm of about 30 centimeters to 50. But on the back, it's bigger macro moves that set back to break up light again. But that's morning light. So the building has a sculptural form right through the day. It's a piece of sculpture, really, moving with light.
Yeah, and actually, as the light moves as the sun moves through the sky and it interacts with the facade, what I've noticed is that the building looks different at various times of day. It has a different feel to it, a different sort of presentation.
Yeah,
which
because
is very emotional.
what happens is the cantilevers interrupt as well the elevational profiles at different times of the day. And if you walk along the Gold Face, you get bronze color in the glass, you get blue hard color, various things. I walked it last night as well, and now it's half lit, the building. You see a different take on the facade.
So it's clearly a very complex organization of both forms and functionality in terms of hotel, retail, programming. And it's my understanding Balmond Studio weren't just the architects on the project, you handle both the engineering, project management, cost management.
Yeah, so Balmond Studio was appointed for architecture, engineering, all the engineering disciplines, project management, and interior design of the public areas. And on the project management side, we had a team here to look after the site. So we took the whole thing on, but it was in a consortium. On the engineering side, we worked with a group of European engineers and Sri Lankan engineers. So it was a European, Sri Lankan combined effort on all the engineering. On the interior design of the public areas, we did that in London. I've just seen my colleague Nicole has walked in, and when we're walking around the building, it'd be good for her to join us and talk about the ID. So we did that all in London. The rooms were done by a Singapore company that John Keels have hired before for their hotels. But all public areas you see in Cinnamon Life, we designed in London and implemented it here on site.
So as you've started discussing the interiors, the public areas, we've already talked about the exterior of the building, the architecture, how unique and a lot of people using the word iconic it is. And so the interior experience has to match in some kind of way, complement that. So I was just wondering in terms of the thought process behind how do you take that movement and energy or the look of the architecture and how does that work in the interiors?
Right, so the external form has a high energy in that it steps in and out and what I call episodes of architecture. The early strapline was city within city. which became one kind of architectural expression. The guardstone and the towers behind, they're all one composition. And the interior design took what the only way I could describe it is it broke down the large spaces in a serial manner, sequential manner of material and color. Mm-hmm. So the building's vibrant with color, vibrant with material. As I said at the beginning, it's a high quality finished building. And when we're walking around, my colleague Nicole can also talk about it. I'm happy with the interior, and I'm glad that John Keels saw it, that someone who sculpts a building like that with the kind of changing forms should do the interior for the public areas. And that's critical. For me, it's almost more important than the building itself, because the building is seen and it's an expression. But when you enter a big building like this, it breaks down, and it's important that people who visit like staying in the building, enjoying the building. Most of the work I've done that's been good and well received by the public is because the public don't want to leave the building. They enjoy being there. And I wanted Cinnamon Life to be a place for enjoyment, excitement, fun, and you forget the building, you just enjoy your space. It's place making, which is the oldest thing in architecture, is making a sense of place.
And it's interesting you use the word, sculpture, and to sculpt the interiors, because I know, especially when we see the lighting in various areas, that they're, custom designed sculptural pieces, the one just above us now, for example. And I understand that, again, these were, bespoke to Balmond Studio, and I just wanted to kind of understand a bit more of your sort of thinking behind lighting. Why is it that they're very sort of sculptural? It seems like you're trying to transcend the conventional idea of lighting as purely functional.
Yeah, the conventional lighting would be wall and top lit, and a frequency of lighting spread with certain spotlight features. Here we wanted to, and again with the client's agreement, we made 5 really special lighting installations. The lobby as you enter, it's a 3-dimensional setting of a light form as a sculpture, but it's also functional light. We also did the entry lobby at level 2. When you enter, there's hanging series of lights. The ballroom has a very unique set of lighting, which again functional, but also almost a fantasy land, because the ballroom is party land as well, and it's a rippling sense of color and movement. We took a lot of effort to get those 5 sculptured lighting pieces well done.
So another key space within the building is obviously the sky lobby. And the thinking behind that, I heard a quote saying you wanted to take a street and put it up in the sky. So I was wondering if you could just elaborate a little on the thinking behind that.
Yeah, from the beginning, I wanted this entry to the hotel, the primary sort of reception area, to be up in the sky. Because I also knew with the backdrop, you have the sea horizon to the west, city horizon to the east. And I wanted a street suspended up in the air. So you walk along the street. And when we go there, you'll see it. I love it. In fact, the early sketches were even having street lamps, but the client wasn't keen on that. So it's abstraction now of a street, but it's the most open part of the hotel, where you see both sides of the horizon, and you're walking in a street, checking in. That's the main reception.
Yeah, and then they've got the to evoke that street feel, there's some of the restaurants up there as well.
Yeah,
right?
so lower down, one level is all the restaurants. And also from there, level 24, you could look out, see the projections, and understand what's going on from the building, looking down on those cantilevers. So it's a vital, dynamic sense of space being made around you and outside you as well. And unlike a lot of other buildings, the ground is not left behind. The horizon keeps moving. So at level 7, there's a big podium, a new plaza. I call it a balcony on the city, a new balcony on the city at 30 meters up in the air. We call it level 7. But from there, then the other big cantilevers project other horizontals. So it's stepping all the time as well. And the so-called ground is not left behind. It's moving in different ways.
And so, I guess coming kind of full circle, obviously, you know, born in Sri Lanka, living here and then going overseas to study and forge a career, and then coming back and doing this building and this project. And what does that feel like in terms of that cycle of, you know, being born here, going away, coming back, leaving some sort of legacy here architecturally, and I was wondering how that feels.
Well, it's very hard because it's almost like an emotional question, you know.
Yeah.
Being Sri Lankan, I mean, I really like the fact that there's something like this here that I'm part of. And at Sri Lanka and John Keels, I have to thank them for having the courage to put up a great building, you know, with big ambitions, big program. There's nothing like this in the region for sure. I've traveled through even Japan, anywhere we think there'll be big buildings, even China where there are big projects. There's nothing as unique as this in my mind, and I'm glad Sri Lanka has it. I'm really proud Colombo has it. And of course, I'm proud to be the author of the whole process, leaving behind something very strong as a Sri Lankan. I would never have thought as a boy running around here and playing, you know, that I'd be back one day here settled to do this. So that makes me very proud. I'm proud to be, actually, if I'm honest about it, proud to be a Sri Lankan, because I'm proud of this project, and I think everyone should be. And I'm hoping the world will wake up and enjoy this project, because it is, for me, a world-class project. And I think this will be, Cinnamon Life will be a hub for an international hub for business, entertainment, and leisure. It will attract from all sides. I'm sure of it.
Well, thank you very much, Cecil, for taking the time to speak to us.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice to get your thoughts out when you're talking. We'll walk around the building as well. I can point out some things.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Sounds
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Brilliant.
So this is the VIP lobby. They come in here and they get whisked up to the top levels. This, from outside, you can see this projects out so that it stands out from the rest of the lobby areas. And then we have this lovely lighting sculpture called Ice. The idea was when you come in that it bursts to the VIP, and it's exciting. And there may be a painting we'll put on the back there, not yet sure.
So this lobby, we kept it very simple, very small, but using very high-end materials, travertine on the walls, supergiante stones with prime number pulses, and also on the floor. You will notice that the color theme of this lobby is black, and you will find this color theme through the related spaces as we go through the building.
So this area is important because, like I described the movement, I didn't want a building that was static. So when you look from outside, you'll see this building is quite tall. But I didn't want columns to come regularly down, which would be normal. So these columns are what I call dancing columns. They are angled out to provide energy and life, and doesn't make the building look heavy when you're out there. And then, because this is a VIP lobby Now walking through to the other lobby at level 2. You'll see the upside down reflections in the ceiling of people walking upside down. So this is the lobby. Nick, tell us about the colors and the ceiling. Reflections, looks amazing.
So we're using the colors here to create energy and a pulse, like continuing with the pulsing of the building from the outside to the inside. Again, the color theme follows from the hotel lobby downstairs, as we want to create visual flow and movement of people through the spaces. The floors, as you can see, is fractal tiling, fractal pattern, which cannot be contained actually, so it always creates a movement as you are walking through. One of the features of these lobbies are the visual connection through the pattern. You will notice that it's the same floor. And that's again, as you can see behind you, the VIP hotel entrance is the same color theme as the VIP hotel entrance in Lab.
So Nick, to talk about this, see this line that goes up on the oranges, gathering energy to that point?
Yeah.
And you see the red coming from all that interior colors you see, and you're not sure what's happening there, but when you come here, it all becomes one.
And so this is a natural space for the sun to point to happen as people are coming down from the ballroom and turning and going back to the lobby. So this sun is created with over 8 different types of material, over 200 meters, 7-story high. So as you can see, this is another visual permeability to the space. And again, we have prime numbers pulsing through on the walls. The materials, this is the Super Giante stone. And actually, it's been hand-selected. Every single piece has been hand-selected from individual slabs in a factory. And the placement of every single tile has been decided by us on where we put like pieces and on the dry lace and the wet lace. So we know every single piece of these ones.
Now we're coming into the main lobby, and you've got a hydroponic wall there, which is now not quite hydroponic.
So the original, in the conceptual stage, the idea was we had people, guests who were out all day in Sri Lanka in the hot sun, and when they arrive back, they're greeted by this really serene grotto with very naturalistic walls and a green wall and also a blue wall, which is a water feature on the corner, and very dynamic movement. We also have this special light feature based on prime numbers designed by Balmond Studio as well, which gently pulses in a prime number sequence. So the programming is also following prime numbers.
So it's a cascade of light to contrast with the darker colors of the lobby area. And it shifts with its light control. It's not constant. Slightly goes up and down. And of course we got the escalator as the main diagonal in space. It's a large volume, but like I said at the beginning, we do things that cut through space that breaks down the idea of big volumes. And the escalator does just that. So here is the main lobby at level 24, and this is the main floor. My street in the sky is this. So you can see the city and you can see the Indian Ocean. And from here, you get the feeling of the cantilevers pushing out. So the whole project with its backbone projecting out and the street in the sky all come together at this level for me, full of energy. And I really love this level. It's open, it's free, and you can see as you walk around, the tiling as well moves you to the reception area. If you look there. So we come here to the reception. The lines are guiding you. The ceiling is also following, taking you there. And the zigzag is always giving that imprint of energy. And then you come to the main reception area. If you look around and you see the whole city. So here we have the champagne bar. It's the main cantilever into space. And you look down, it's got two levels, the main level down there and the mezzanine level with the bar up here. It's got a ceiling that's not yet lit. We're just about finishing everything here. And it's a wonderful space. It's like a box floating in the air, which it is. It's a cantilever, and at night it's magical with all the light. And it's a very special place to enjoy.
A two-dimensional and a three-dimensional permutations. So the three-dimensional version of the same grids are This is the light field, which is a ballroom studio rethinking of how ballroom lighting could be conceived of. So in this instance, we chose a field condition of 9,000 LEDs. Dynamism of the space of the light actually moving and rotating.
Here for me is the future of Colombo. I'm up in the sky. You see the wonderful facade that we have here. You can see that here. A modern facade, contemporary. And we're in a space hanging above the air, open to the sea, open to ambition, open to invention. Future Colombo. And I'm happy to be Sri Lankan to see that happen.
Watching the Life Traveler channel.